Whether you're getting your first credit card or have carried them for decades, odds are that you have and will continue to make mistakes. So today I'm sharing with you 5 of the most common credit card mistakes that I guarantee you the people watching this video are bound to have already made or will make in the future. Starting off with one of the most common mistakes that I see people make, and one that I have made myself twice now, and something that led me to getting denied for 2 different credit cards, and that's going to be applying for too many cards within a set period of time. There are 2 big issues that can arise from applying for too many credit cards in such a short period of time. The first is that your credit score can be lowered, as these credit card companies will do a hard inquiry, and then that hard pull on your credit score will then lower your score. And another reason that applying for too many cards in such a short period of time is that it can be seen as risky behavior by multiple credit loaners or other credit card companies. Even if you're on the right track and have never missed a payment for 2 to 3 years, 5 years, over a decade, then all of a sudden you apply for 2, 3, 4, even 5 credit cards in maybe a 3-month window, that might be seen as risky. It might be seen as he's going to take on all this debt and he needs this money now, so he won't pay it back. And this is exactly where I shot myself in the foot on 2 different separate occasions. When I got my first credit card, it was through USAA, which is my bank. Then maybe a week later, I got the Chase Freedom Unlimited. I was approved for that, so no issues. But then me being the smart person I am, decided to apply for the Chase Freedom Flex not even 2 weeks after that. And it's no secret that 3 credit cards in less than a month for someone that had never had one was not a good idea, so I was outright denied for that Chase Freedom Flex. And because I totally learned from my mistakes, 8 months later, after I'd just been approved for the Chase Sapphire Preferred, I thought it would be smart to apply for the Citi Custom Cash a month after that. Well, I violated one of Citi's rules and they said no. And now I'm proud to say that after making the same mistake 2 times, I'm positive that I will not make this mistake again, as I have put into place plans for how long I will wait between applications. And there are so many companies out there that will have their own separate rules and things that they will abide by before approving the people. This could be applying for too much credit as a number in a certain amount of time, applying for too many cards, having too many open cards. I have a video highlighting all these rules for 8 major companies out there, so be sure to check out that video. I'll link it up above and down below. But at the end of the day, you can avoid this mistake by simply being patient. A good rule of thumb would be waiting 3 to 6 months. I'd now adhere to that 6-month mark before applying for multiple credit cards. My last application was that Citi Custom Cash back in May, so I'm probably not going to apply for another credit card until end of the year or even into 2025. But this is going to take us into the second most common mistake I see people make, and this is not taking time to set up their credit card accounts when they do get approved at the beginning. And what I mean by this is not setting up features such as autopay, not using tools like the credit close-up tools on Chase or other systems out there, and also not changing the day that their bill is due or when your statement closes. The reason I believe this is so important is because it can help have an extra layer of insurance. For some reason, if in the future you forget to pay your credit card bill, you then know that, oh, okay, my autopay is on, you won't have any hit to your credit score. Or using a tool like that credit close-up can help you work on your credit score actively, see where things have gone wrong in the past, and then see where you can improve in the future. Or what my favorite thing to do is just change the date that your bill is due. That way everything lines up. Typically, if I get a new card, when I'm approved, whatever that day is will be the day that my statement closes and opens. So if I get approved on, say, the 12th of the month, the 12th of next month will be when things close. The reason I don't like this is because let's say that I have 5 credit cards. One I got on the 3rd, the 7th, the 10th, the 19th, and the 20th. Well, my cards are due at different times throughout the month, and it's going to be very hard in my mind to keep that in order. What I would highly recommend doing is changing that date that it's due to the same time every month. For myself, I have everything set to the 1st of the month. It's an easy day for me to remember. I know when I go to pay my rent, I also need to go make sure my credit cards are paid. That way I don't have any outstanding balances. And most companies won't let you do this right away. You might have to change this after a month of holding the credit card. So once the first statement goes through, then you should be able to change this on your account. But to sum things up, spending 10 minutes to get organized up front can help you have insurance if anything does go wrong in the future, and helps you stay organized moving forward. Now looking at our third mistake, and also mistake 3.5, there are going to be people maxing out their credit cards and people using too much of their credit line even if you don't max it out. And this mistake sounds very self-explanatory, like everyone's gonna be like, oh, I know not to max out my credit card or overspend. Except the issue is there's over $1 trillion of debt in the United States, so apparently this is a pretty common mistake. But why is maxing out your credit card bad? I'm still gonna walk through it. Credit card issuers are gonna give you a credit line you cannot afford to pay off every single month. It's done intentionally to help people overspend so then they can accrue interest and get money in the end. It's a cruel game that they play. Most people will fall for it when they're young, and it's just a lesson that a lot of people need to learn to stay out of debt entirely. At age 22, I currently have over $70,000 I could spend in one billing cycle across my credit cards. I do not make $70,000 in a month to spend on that. If I were to be stupid, I would go blow off all my money on that. I'd have $70,000 and then all of a sudden it starts accruing interest at a rate of nearly 30%, which means I'm never paying off that credit card debt. To avoid this, please just don't overspend. But mistake 3.5 is spending too much on your credit line. This is an issue as when you spend more on your credit line and that closes and gets sent off to the bureau and they see anything above around 30%, that can be deemed as risky behavior for using too much of your available credit. You want to stay below 30%, and to do this, just plan out ahead. If I have a $10,000 credit line, be sure, hey, I'm only spending what I can afford, but if my statement closes and I have $3,000 or less, I'm in the clear. If it closes and I have $7,000 on it, my credit score could be affected negatively. And a common thing I recommend for both not maxing out and keeping a low credit utilization is spend what you can afford. Use your credit card as a debit card. If you don't have cash for it, don't pay for it. Only pay for what you can afford. That way, if you really think of it, you could have a 0% utilization every single month. And I know that this is easier said than done. Everyone's in a different financial situation. Credit cards are tempting. Believe me, I am tempted. I've never paid something late, but boy, is it tempting to be, ooh, I could afford this right now. Just resist that urge, try and pay things off and stay on top of it. I will also mention I will have a video linked on how you can increase your credit score if that's something you're looking for, linked it up above and down below. Now looking at the fourth mistake that I see people make all the time, especially for beginners, and that is getting the wrong credit card. And what I mean by this are people that are going out and getting cards that aren't suited for them, specifically with people maybe getting cards with fees when there's no reason to get them, they don't have a plan on using them. Or another instance could be applying for a credit card that just doesn't suit you, and instead you just open this line of credit that you're never gonna use, and that's actually a mistake that I made. A common rule of thumb I would recommend is stay away from fees for at least the first year, or I'd honestly recommend 2 to 3 years. The reason for this is you're just establishing yourself in the credit card world. There's so many cards out there, it's gonna be tempting, but you're gonna wanna get a card and then get it and realize, I actually didn't need this, or it really doesn't do much for me. And look, cards with fees are insane. One common one that a lot of people do carry that probably shouldn't is the Amex Platinum with a $695 fee. If you do know how to use that card and you use it properly, it's a fantastic card. If you don't know how to use it and you're not taking advantage of it, you're just paying $700 to hold a credit card. Another recommendation I have for this is start at square one of the credit card ladder. The credit card ladder is a figurative ladder with 5 tiers. Tier 1 are the student cards and cards that are very, very easy to get. You don't need credit history. Start there. Or start at level 2, which are no annual fee cards like the Chase Freedom Unlimited, the Chase Freedom Flex. Cards like that don't have annual fees but are starting to give you cashback rewards. Stay on those 2 tiers for a couple years till you understand how to use credit cards without them hurting you. Also, don't just impulse apply for credit cards. That's a mistake I made. I wanted a credit card so bad, I signed up for the first one through my bank without doing any research on any other credit cards out there. And that led to me being, oh wait, I haven't used this card in almost a year. And if you aren't sure where to start, check out my video on the credit card ladder. I guarantee you will know where to start after watching that. But please do not just go apply for credit cards to apply for them. Make sure you know what you're getting into, read up on them, see what else is available. And this is gonna take us to our 5th and final mistake on today's list, and it's gonna be closing out your credit cards. Now let me clarify, there is certainly a time and a place to close out your credit cards, and I am in full support of doing so. But for the majority of people out there, you shouldn't be closing out credit cards unless you absolutely have to. If you have a card that does not have an annual fee, I would never recommend closing it out. The reason for this, having your credit cards open with no annual fees has no harm to you, you're not paying for them. This can help with your credit score over time, having a longer length of credit, having more credit open that you don't use. It looks good. He's not using this available credit, keeps your utilization lower. Now, over time, your bank might reach out to you and be like, hey, we are going to close your card. You haven't used it in a while. Take your card, go use it once or twice, then they'll be off of you for maybe another year or two. There's no harm in just doing that and staying on top of it though. Just don't use the card and forget to pay it off. But one case I would recommend closing cards is if they do have annual fees and you aren't getting value out of them. Maybe you applied for the Amex Platinum and you are spending $695 for that and you realize this card is not for me. Well, then I'd evaluate, see what options are available to you, and I'd most likely close that card and maybe apply for a different one that fits you better. I wouldn't necessarily close it if it had no annual fee attached to it, but because this card is actively taking away from you, I'd recommend closing it out and maybe getting a card that's better suited for you. But unless that card's taking away from you in terms of actually burning a hole in your wallet, then I wouldn't recommend closing it out. It can help build your credit score in the future, and it's honestly not causing any harm keeping them open. But at the end of the day, avoiding these mistakes will help you reach financial freedom quicker, help you avoid dropping your credit score unintentionally, and honestly, it will help boost it over time. If you're not sure where to start, I'd highly recommend spending an hour or two on one weekend. Sit down, figure everything out, write down every credit card you have, write down all the things about your finances, your budget. Make sure that you are set financially. Honestly, staying organized is the name of the game. And like I said, if you want to learn how to increase your credit score, check out this video right here. And if you guys could also go hit like and subscribe on the video, it really helps me grow the channel. I appreciate you all watching. Be sure to comment which mistake you have made the most, and I'll see you in the next video.